I didn't know there was a nod. Is there a nod? Like, oh, Ryan.
Hello?
Asian pronouns, please.
19 here. You don't remember me?
Yeah, I do. That's why this isn't met with much enthusiasm because I know how these conversations go, Ryan.
Oh, come on, Lex. I feel like we're creating some common ground. Not common ground. I feel like we're working towards something here.
Are we? Are you changing any perspectives?
I mean, I I didn't want to tell you about this, but if you're genuinely curious, this is gonna sound like silly virtue signaling. But I was chatting to a friend of mine on a video call, and she's going out to a rave, and she's like wearing some certain dressing, and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry about what I'm wearing. I'm sorry if it looks like I'm half naked." And I go, "You know what? It's completely okay." Like I was gonna answer in a certain way, then I said, "No, it's completely fine. You can wear whatever you want because it shouldn't be." I tried to remember exactly what you said, but I basically said it shouldn't be what and where that matters. It's the perception of how people that people hold within themselves that matters more. So honestly, yeah, I have changed some of my opinions.
Okay. Well, if you're applying it, it's better than not.
I did not hear a word. All I heard was cheering.
If you're applying it, then it's better than not. But which one do you disagree with then today?
Could we go back on the one that we spoke about last time? Is that possible?
Remind me which one that was.
The one about women buying men's products or women's products.
Okay, yeah, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I can keep it quick if it's not if it if you don't want to. I also kind of just wanted to say hi. Like imagine how lucky I am. I just got on my phone for 5 minutes and I see you live, so I thought I'd just say hello. But in terms of that actual topic, I had written down what I think her name was. Hang on, I'll find it. Uh, so I've got a lot of notes here. What prompts are you running? Actually, I didn't even check. The friend zone doesn't exist. Oh, you know what? I might want to discuss that one. That sounds interesting. I've never heard that before. But anyway, right, Lizzie, that was it. She said that she was forced to use men's deodorant because something around having a poor home life and meaning that she was raised more by her father than by her mother, I think it was. And that she was bullied for smelling like a boy because she used mainly men's products. And so her argument was that the notion that, what was it? The notion that women should like the idea of women only wearing women's products could be because they want to avoid bullying, and it could be a way to like get around that. Hold on, let me read the whole thing so I'm not paraphrasing.
All I'd say is if you're going to talk about someone else who's not here, probably not a great idea, right? So,
Okay.
like, let's focus on what we can talk about, at least between you and I for now. You want to talk about the friend zone, right?
Yeah, sure. We'll discuss that.
So I don't think the friend zone exists because I think that there is an emotion or behavior that does exist in that dynamic, and men using the term friend zone is a way to deflect and avoid it. Because if you say I'm now in a friend zone, you've just made that up for yourself. There is no friend zone because a woman, if anything, in a situation where you share your romantic feelings and it's not reciprocated, would just basically say something like, I'm not interested or I'm happy to be friends.
Why does that imply the friend zone doesn't exist?
Because all that's happened in that situation is a rejection of your romantic like advances, and that's it. She hasn't put you anywhere. She hasn't changed the dynamic anywhere. Also, to those in the chat, I would hold the same standards to women. But in case anyone didn't know, this is about holding men accountable, unpacking men's misogyny. So I'm not saying that women don't do any of these things. I'm just saying we're focusing on men's behavior. So again,
But
yeah,
if I like make an analogy, if I'm a sales rep and I'm going through prospects and I call somebody and ask to tell them about my business, they say they're not interested. I'm going to put them in the rejection zone, and I'm going to say I'm in the.
there's no zone. You're not putting them anywhere. You're just basically saying that I don't accept this candidate. Then there's no zone that you've put them. You just reject them. That's it. They haven't been placed in a rejection zone. It's no different to people like if you're trying to go down that avenue of people applying for a job and they say no. You didn't get job zoned. You just didn't get accepted. That's it. There was no offer after that, though. There was no like, but hey, stay in touch, and if something comes up, then maybe we can work together. That's not how that dynamic usually goes. So again, in this dynamic, when you have romantic feelings, you're trying to use something that's not analogous because you don't really become emotionally attached or connected to a job in comparison
okay.
with a person, right?
That's
So,
fair. That's
so,
fair.
so when you do get that rejection, for some people, they were already friends beforehand and romantic feelings developed. I'm saying that if you get rejected and they offer a friendship, for you to immediately say yes to that friendship, technically you don't actually know. Like you don't know whether or not your feelings are going to impact that moving forward. The emotionally intelligent thing to do would be to say, do you know what? I need to give myself some time if I don't want to continue being in this friendship, or if I do, because those romantic feelings can get in the way.
Okay, honestly, this I'm finding kind of hard to track. This isn't even like a thing against women. I can't even understand what you're saying. Like, by when you're saying friend zone doesn't exist, when I think of friend zone, I think somebody has rejected you, therefore you will no longer be with them. Is that what the friend zone is, or am I wrong?
I'm not saying what it is because I don't believe it exists. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
If someone
so
rejects you, all you've described there is a rejection.
yeah, but why? But doesn't that mean that there will no longer be a romantic relationship?
Okay, but that's no different to your male friends who you're not attracted to. You're just in a friendship, right? There's no friend zone.
But no one's
Practically
but that I don't. It's just describing it because it's undesirable. Actually, may I ask what motivates this prompt? Because most of them.
Okay. So when men have come up and given examples of what the friend zone is, here's 3 examples of what they've said, right?
Okay.
Some men have said that being friends with a woman who is already in a relationship, and you're friends just because when that relationship breaks down, you can hopefully be with her. That's you
Okay.
being in the friend zone because you're just waiting and hoping, right? That's
Okay.
quite predatory behavior.
Yeah.
Secondly, an example of a woman rejecting a man and a man saying, okay, you know what? I'll be friends. That's fine. And the only reason they're saying that is because they hope one day she might change her mind. Where you could potentially coerce her or convince her or try to push the idea of actually maybe we can be good together. And I'm just hanging around hopefully for that to change, which means you're not in an authentic friendship.
Okay. I
Third
guess that's kind
option.
of what I mean.
Sorry, just need to mute someone for their racism.
Damn.
Blocked as well.
That's
Um,
crazy.
so
Definitely a reform voter.
another example is when 2 people are friends and one of them doesn't share their romantic feelings because they're worried about rejection or worried that the friendship might be affected by it. That is technically just poor communication, and you're not being honest in that situation either. Right? So if you have romantic feelings towards someone and you're maybe fantasizing about them or viewing them in a schmexual way, that other person hasn't consented to that kind of a friendship. They haven't consented to you viewing her in that way. Right? That's not part of the friendship because that's not what the platonic friendship was boundaried as between the two of you. It's changed for one of you. And you keeping that information to yourself is literally avoiding accountability for expressing those feelings towards her.
Sorry, that last one has lost me. Why does it matter if it's just your thoughts?
Because how do you know that they're not impacting that dynamic between the two of you? Like you're schmexualizing your friend and she views you as a friend. Like she's viewing this as a friendship, but at the same time you're schmexualizing her.
Do you specifically mean schmexualizing, or do you just mean like romantic feelings?
Well, I'm giving an example of how those romantic feelings can develop.
Okay.
Like some people can view that. Some people think, what would it be like to be with her on a romantic level? You know?
Doesn't everyone do that? Like, what would be inherently wrong with just being attracted to somebody and thinking, dwelling on
Being
that?
attracted to someone, but if you are schmexualizing them in your mind and thinking
Right.
what they look like, maybe with like I don't know, no clothes on, or what it looks like to be intimate with them, that's not something she's consented to.
What? I'm sorry, dude. I hate coming to speak to you because I sound like a misogynist. I don't understand the in your mind thing.
To be honest with you, I don't have the patience for it today. Like I'm explaining this in very simple terms, and
Okay. Wait. Okay. No.
I've got 6 people waiting who want to talk, and if this is how this is going to go already, I already said to you that it's exhausting before we started, and this is how it's getting. Like it's really.
Just give me a second. I'll just take 5 seconds then. So, do you mean that she's not consenting to a relationship that's influenced by your thoughts?
If
Is
it's
that what
things
you
like
mean?
that, yeah.
Okay then. And so that's why you're disputing the friend zone.
Yes, but that's not the only reason. Sorry, Lizzie, did you want to come up? Because I don't know if you've retracted your request, but if you did want to come up, let me know.
No, honestly, if you're saying that this isn't worth your time, I can go back down.
No,
It's
that's
all right.
more that at the beginning. I think what we'll do is we'll address what you mentioned at the beginning, and then we can change the guests because you mentioned about Lizzie with regards to the comment about the deodorant or something. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
So if you can share that. Hi, Lizzie. Can I just get your age and pronouns first? Sorry.
Yep, she, her, 29. Just wanted to know why my name was mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, the last time I was on here, we had a fairly extensive conversation about women using men's products, and you were like the final person to come up, and you gave an example of something, and I just wanted to run it past Lex, but he said that I ought to wait until you're in attendance to mention it.
Sure. What did you want to run past about the experience that I told you to help educate you rather than to take notes and not listen?
How could I have taken it if I didn't listen?
Because note taking doesn't mean necessarily listening. But go on, what would you like to run by it?
Right. Well, you'd said that it was something around not necessity, but like accommodation, given that some people are, bullied for the certain kinds of products that they use, and it would be, I suppose, remiss to imply that women have a choice to use men's products because sometimes they are in such severe situations that it's, not realistic, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So to that, I mean, I'm not refuting your experience, right? And I thought back on everything that I said and every response you guys gave me, and ultimately it all came down to me victim blaming, but like I don't know how to say this. Would it not be more so worth like addressing the bullying itself rather than finding the solution?
I'm going to stop you right there, Ryan. I don't like over talking people, but I'm going to stop you right there because I don't know how you thought as a 12-year-old with the situation that I told you that I hadn't had a good home life, I was supposed to address the bullying. No, you can stop. You can stop because one, you decided to come up and address Lex and something that I spoke to you about, which you could have found my name in here. I am a mod. Most days I'm in here, if not every, and you could have personally messaged me if you felt that need to bring up something that I said. Then you said, I'm not refuting, but, and then went on to refute what I said and said that as a child, I should have been able to combat bullying rather than deal with the necessities. And that is your privilege speaking. And that's why I'm going to request to Lex, which I normally never do, drop him.
That wasn't where I was going.
Thank you.
As I said, I like people were saying also in the chat, like it's not something to bring to me when it's also personal in regard to you. So I tried to switch the topic, but when you then came into the live, I thought if you did want to come up and obviously talk to him, fair enough.
Well, it's just to see what he was going to say, but it's just absolutely ridiculous to expect a child to be able to refute bullying because it's, you can change that into many situations like domestic abuse. The same things happens in them kind of situations where somebody hasn't got the control. But my very point is, yes, you can take notes and listen, obviously, and things, but often when we're taking notes, we're not actually taking in the story. And the reason I came up to tell him that was as a personal anecdote to help him understand. So if he didn't want to, he's not here to learn, and he keeps coming up and doing the same thing. I'm tired and I'm out.
No, I appreciate it, Lizzie. Thank you so much for coming up, though. I'm sorry that obviously was brought up. Would you like me to drop you down?
Oh, good, drop me. Not you. Yeah, I wasn't angry with you, Lex, by the way.
No, I didn't know if you said when you said something. Right.
No, it's just, yeah.
Bye-bye. Hello, Kitty.
Hi, Kitty42, she, her. It's also just say, chat, don't worry, the mods have got this. We support each other, we inform each other, situations like this, okay? We all work together with Lex for situations like that. W Lizzie Lulu. Also, just a quick point as well to add on to that. It's also quite a privilege. Not everyone has a trusted adult in their lives as a child to advocate for them, to speak up on behalf of them as well. And why are we putting the responsibility of calling out bullying on a child? So there's so many layers to that. It's problematic. Anyway, I'm going to drop because my dog is very noisy. Anyway, right, let's go. Chat, be respectful. I will say that as well.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Right. Maya, I'm going to drop you a mute because the things that you keep saying is really harmful. It's not children's responsibility. They're children. Over. Age and pronouns, please. Hello?
Could you hear me?
Yep. Age and pronouns, please.
Okay, I am 20, 2005, and he, him.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
I disagree with all of them, but like I disagree with the last one the most.
Can you give me an example of why you think it would ever be appropriate to tell a woman to change her clothing?
Okay, because we clearly see it is the case that women wear more revealing outfits if they're meeting with someone who is attractive. This is shown to be the case.
Your microphone, you're either like putting it in your mouth or it's muffling for some reason.
I think it's just muffled, but like, could you respond to the argument?
It's not an argument. Like, you haven't really made a point. I've asked you a question. You didn't answer it. You just deflected.
Yeah, no, I answered it.
No, you didn't tell me an example of when.
I gave
But you think that it's okay to tell women to change their clothing based on the fact that they might be meeting someone they're attracted to?
Yeah, and
why would you need to tell them that? That's up to them to decide.
But they're my partner in this context, correct?
So you think that right, so you're saying you want to tell your partner to wear more revealing clothes for you?
No, to wear less,
For you?
What do you mean, but me?
You said for you, because you're their partner. Why are they, so you're telling them to wear more clothing for you?
No, what I mean is like women would wear clothes to attract attention of attractive mates. Would wear more revealing.
I'm confused. Can you give me an example of what's going on where you think you can tell her, like, that she needs to...
Yeah, no, I'm giving you an example. Like, for example, if she's wearing a revealing outfit, then I know she's, like, trying to get male attention, which I think that's a bad thing to do in a relationship.
Hold on, you've assumed that she's doing it to get male attention.
Okay, yeah, no, but we see that's generally the case.
No, that's just a projection of your assumption.
Okay, no, we have data on this.
No, we don't.
Okay, if it is the case that I am correct, then would you say my argument is valid? It's a yes or no.
No.
It's a how?
Because if a woman did want to choose to wear revealing clothing to attract someone, that's her autonomy and her consent. So why?
Okay, yeah, no, but we are in a relationship. Then she wouldn't be in a relationship.
Hold on. If you're in a relationship, why would she be wearing revealing clothing to attract attention from someone else if she's in a relationship with you?
Yeah, no, I agree. So then I would argue that would be a case where I would be against her wearing that clothing.
What, as in if you factually know she's doing it to attract other men?
Yes.
So why would you be in a relationship with someone who wants to be attracting other men while in a relationship with you, rather than trying to control her and tell her what to do? Why wouldn't you just leave? If you're in a relationship with someone and she says, by the way, I'm wearing this on our date because I hope some man out there comes over to me and something happens.
I agree. I agree with that, but like that would be like
an example to give, because women are not doing that. Women are not in relationships with their partners and choosing to wear clothing to attract attention from other men while in a relationship. That's a ridiculous claim to even make. So again, give me something that's a real reason, which actually happens often, that you think it's okay to do that.
Okay, I mean, I don't understand why it has to happen often. You're making a prescriptive claim, so then it would have to generalize to all cases.
Yeah, because I'm also generalizing the belief that it upholds grape culture regardless if you're trying to tell a woman what to wear.
Okay, I don't even believe grape culture is a real thing. I don't believe there's a culture of perpetrating sexual violence.
I don't want you on my panel. Respectfully unfollow me. If you don't think grape culture is a real thing, this isn't the live for you, and there's no getting through to you. The PFP said it all from the start, but then what you said after was just ridiculous. You don't even think grape culture exists. You're vile. Absolutely not. Xander, age and pronouns, please. Rosalina, exactly. Misunderstood, age and pronouns, please.
Oh, shit. Sorry, my bad.
That's all right. Asian pronouns, please. Hello?
22. He, him. Sorry, I dropped my phone the second I joined. I'm so sorry about that.
That's all right. Which prompt do you disagree with?
I not necessarily disagree, but I just have a question about the all men until no men part. All the rest of the stuff I completely agree with you with, absolutely, but
Okay.
I just have more question what you mean by all men until no men.
Sure. So all men hold on to misogyny and have responsibility to unpack it. Women's biggest form of oppression is gender-based violence, and so women being wary and cautious of all men is completely understandable. But men also say all
Oh
men
yeah, no, okay,
no men.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, no, sorry. It's just I've seen a lot of the all men until no men things, and then they just kind of spit misandry. But no, that's actually fair enough. That's
Misandry
good for you.
doesn't exist.
Not
Misandry doesn't
Yeah.
exist. They're not spitting misandry.
misandry does exist, but it's definitely not. It's nowhere near as bad as
Give me
misogyny.
an
It's
example.
absolutely nowhere near as bad
Give
as
me
it.
an example of misandry in real time. What is misandry happening? Like where? How?
Misandry absolutely exists and happens.
Can you give me an example
But
of where, how, and what its impact is? Like where family court is something that men created as a system, and it's to benefit the child. That's not misandry, Adam. Don't be ridiculous. Can you give me an example of anything?
I'm not disagreeing with you. And that family court is fucking
I was
is
responding to
very
this.
very massively towards the male side. Absolutely, I'm not disagreeing with you there.
I was responding.
Absolutely, it is.
I'm asking you in general. Like, can you give me one example, please?
The Lindsay Clancy, not Clancy, Clancy.
No, I'm asking for an example of misandry, not like some anecdotal individual thing that's happened that is now suddenly misandry. How is that misandry?
All right.
How is that misandry? Like, what men is that affecting out there? Okay, you've left. Fine. Goodness me. They're out today, aren't they? They're out today. Win, Asian pronouns, please. No, accidental. Okay. Test Evie. Can you let me know if you're a man that disagrees, please? Yeah, it's coming in hot this evening, isn't it? You are a man that disagrees. Perfect. Age and pronouns, please. Test.
He, him, and I'm 18.
Thank you. Which prompt do you disagree with?
I disagree with all of them, but the bottom one is very confusing to me.
Sure. So can you give me an example of when you think it would be appropriate for you to tell a woman what she should wear?
Okay, well, the one above that is all men until no men. Doesn't that contradict each other? You know what I mean?
No, but you've just suddenly
Oh.
changed prompts. So do you want to stick
Well,
with one?
because you have a whole prompt list here, and
Yeah,
the
but we
bottom
focus
two
on
contradict each other.
none of them contradict each other.
The bottom two do.
No, they don't.
You're saying all men are going to do bad things, and if I'm telling my girlfriend to not wear something because for her safety,
Her safety from who? All men?
yeah. If you're going to generalize all men, if you're going to generalize all men,
You've just told me how it proves my second bottom prompt, right? If you just said that it's to protect them from all men, then that proves all men until no men, right? You just proved my point, and you didn't even realize how you did that.
yes. So go outside wearing no clothes and then see what happens.
Do
If
women
it's
do
all
that?
men, if you're generalizing all men,
Do women
let's
do
use
that?
our brains here and maybe wear a little bit more
Don't be
clothes,
ableist.
bro.
Don't be ableist. Do women do that? Do women walk out with no clothes on?
Not really. I don't really care what my
I'll
girlfriend
ask
wears,
again.
right?
I'll
It's
ask
just the
again.
last two contradict each
I'll
other.
ask again because you haven't proved anything yet. If anything, you proved my point, and I'm grateful for that. Give me an example of a situation where you think it's appropriate to tell women what to wear.
I'm just bringing up the point that those two are contradicting. I don't really care what my girlfriend wears. I'm comfortable in my relationship, right? I
That's
know a lot
fine.
of people who aren't,
But
but
then you
like
don't
if,
disagree.
I can give you an example right now. There's a guy who's insecure, and if he's in a relationship, he obviously doesn't want. He knows how other men think. He knows how other men look at his girlfriend. And if I'm proving your point, I really do not care. But the last one still, this is proving my point and how I disagree here.
I mean, you don't even understand that the things you're saying are the points I make. You're proving my point. You're saying that in that situation, he's worried about the other men. So that literally proves what I'm saying. All men until no men, because even he knows how other men behave. He knows how.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's
I'm
all men
agree. Okay,
until
so
no men, then, isn't it?
let's assume that I agree with all men until no men, and I'm telling you that men telling their partner what to wear are upholding grape culture. That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense at all. Why would a girl go outside wearing no clothes if they know that all men are going to do that and think like that? That makes no sense. That makes zero sense.
Women don't go out wearing no clothes.
Okay, well, more revealing. Okay, that's my.
Okay, so
my
why do you
balance.
think they hold on? So that's victim blaming, right? Women want to wear what they want to wear. Men have to change their behavior. Women aren't going to stop doing what they want to do just because men don't know how to behave. That's a men's issue. So essentially what you're saying is women should do all of this because we accept that men behave that way. That's the problem.
Exactly, but the bottom point is, how would I be upholding grape culture? You're not telling me how I would be upholding it. If that's the assumption, how would I be upholding it?
Because you are telling your partner to change her clothing because men out there objectify. Which essentially is saying that I'm not going to tell men to change their grapey behavior. I'm going to acknowledge that will always exist and instead tell my partner, the victim, to do something different. Therefore, you are upholding the behavior of men because you are saying it's okay for them to do that.
So Lex, let me just tell every man on the entire planet Earth to stop thinking the way they think. When one girl can just change, especially the girl in my relationship, the girl that I'm dating, the girl that I pay for, I love, I do all this stuff for. Let's tell every man on the planet Earth to change how they think instead of having one person change what they do. And I'm not insecure about it. I don't care, right? But that doesn't make sense at all. That doesn't make sense at all. If they actually did care,
I'm going to mute you because you can't stop talking. You don't realize what you just said, do you? You basically just said, because I can't control the way that men behave, I'll try and control her instead. That's what you basically said. You said, instead of talking to all the men who aren't going to change their mind, I'll talk to the one person who can change. Why can she change? Because of your words. That's called abuse, my friend. That's called abuse.
Okay, yeah, so that's called abuse because I don't want her to, and you're not explaining to me how that's upholding it, right? If I'm telling
I already
her,
said it. Hold on, I already said
it.
it.
Okay,
No,
but let me
I'll mute you again because I did already tell you how it's upholding it. I'll explain one more time. When you are telling her to change something, it's because you are accepting men's behavior and allowing that to uphold because you don't want to acknowledge that. You are focusing on the victim. That's why it upholds grape culture, because you're essentially saying, I'm not going to put the time and effort into changing the minds of men or educating men, calling out men's misogyny. No, instead, I'll control what I think I can control better, my partner. Second time explaining it. If you're not getting it now, we're probably not going to get anywhere in this conversation.
So before you muted me, I was actually going to say that, like, I actually did get that. But you're saying I'm not acknowledging all men, but I just said that all men. I agree with I will say that I agree with the top point above that, all men until no men. I agree with that for right now, just for this debate.
It's not a debate. It's an educational live. Staples, can I bring you in if that's okay?
Yeah, thank you. 44 she, her. Guess, can I just ask what you think consent is?
Consent? Yeah, the 5 staples, or I don't know. If I hear yes, then yeah, that's what consent is.
So have you heard of the Fries model?
The phrase model.
Fries.
No, yeah, the fry. That's the.
It sounds like you have a woman doing the emotional labour for you, both in your background and here.
Well, that's my girlfriend.
Okay, so she understands, it sounds like, about the Fries model. Do you understand
we
that?
looked at that together.
Okay, so do you understand that lack of clothing doesn't equal consent?
Yeah.
So that's what Lex is trying to explain. Whatever someone is wearing doesn't equal consent to someone to touch them without their consent. You telling your partner to change what they wear, or the hypothetical man in this situation, is upholding the culture where people think they can touch someone without consent. That's why it's upholding it.
But Staples, if all men are evil, are uncontrolled, they can't control their actions, would it not be smart to cover up a little bit, right? To not wear as much revealing ass clothes. It doesn't make sense. It seriously does not make sense. I change what I do day to day life depending on how my
We
life.
already do that, so please don't interrupt. We already do that. We mitigate harm in every single way that we can. Every day is a threat assessment from you. You mentioned you have a partner. I'm sure she can tell you how she experiences the world daily compared to how you do with male privilege. So we already do that. So at what point do we stop having to make it our responsibility? Why is it never the man's responsibility to not do the harm?
I really can't give you an answer to that because, like I said, I'm agreeing with you, right?
Yet
That all
No.
men, I'm agreeing
you've
with that.
chose to come up here and debate about it. So you're not agreeing with it. You're pushing back against Lex and saying, actually, yeah, they should just wear what I say, or because men can't control themselves.
Hi, Kitty.
Hi, Kitty42, she, her. Trigger warning chat for what I'm going to say next. Guests, have you ever heard of the what they were wearing exhibition? What they were wearing exhibition.
No, I've not.
No.
Not familiar.
Okay, so it's an exhibition of what people were wearing, women and children, femcentric people were wearing when they were essayed or raped. And that's everything right down to a diaper. A diaper, a burqa, gym clothing,
School uniform.
school uniform. It doesn't matter what anyone's wearing. Women and femcentric people and children should not having to adjust their behaviour to accommodate men's harm because it doesn't make a difference. Men choose to do it anyway. It's not the clothing, it's the men. So why should we have to adjust what we're wearing when men are still going to harm us anyway? Because it's not the clothing.
Well, from my experience, I've never really looked at a girl like that, so I really can't speak to the other men side. But like I said, from Staples, I can't give you an answer for that because I don't have an answer.
Yes, I appreciate that. The thing is, though, you have used a lot of language regarding your partner in terms of you let her, you pay for her, there's quite a lot of language that's quite controlling language regarding women. So,
Yeah, but like when I say I let her, I just don't care, right? Like I just don't care what she does. Like when I'm speaking in like behalf of all men, I know some men are insecure in relationships, they don't want to. Well, I will let her and just like not care. That's what I mean by that.
so given, sorry, Lex, you go.
I was saying, if you haven't got an issue with what your partner wears, why are you up here trying to defend the reasons why other men would have an issue with what their partner wears?
Because they're insecure, and that's just not fair.
You want to defend,
That's just not fair.
You want to defend insecure men by telling them that it's okay for them to tell their partner to change their clothes because of their insecurity?
Yes, that's not fair. If a
No.
girl, yes,
No,
from the
what's
last
not
guy who
fair?
was up here
No.
debating this point,
What's
he was
not
talking
fair?
about how.
No,
Sorry, go.
what's not fair is them projecting their insecurity onto their partner. That's what's not fair. You trying to defend men because they have an insecurity is ridiculous.
Should a relationship not be 100? Should a woman should not, like, if a loving girlfriend actually cared about their boyfriend, they would accommodate to those insecurities and care for those
Absolutely
insecurities.
not.
If I do the same, if they do the
No,
same, it's
no.
fair.
No, you deal with your insecurities because they're your own issues. And if you're now bringing them to the relationship which upholds controlling behavior, that's a you issue. So no, You can
So-
support and you could be empathetic, but it doesn't mean you have to change things just because of someone else's insecurity, because that insecurity is yours to deal with.
So the loving girlfriend can't accommodate for her boyfriend's insecurities until he grows. That's what you're telling me? That's what you're telling me.
No, you're victim blaming again. How about the loving boyfriend works on his insecurity to then not control her?
So then that's not a relationship, and that's not 100%, 100%.
Okay,
So,
so why
like,
do you just,
what?
okay, can I speak here, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. So why is it again a lot of the language responsibility being placed on the woman, the girlfriend, as opposed to the man that has the insecurity?
I'm
Why
not
can
saying
he
that.
not deal with his own insecurities? That's
I'm
literally
not.
just what you're
I'm not
saying.
saying that. I'm saying that that if a girlfriend actually loved someone, you would accommodate for their insecurities. Yes, you would.
You don't
Because
accommodate
you would care
insecurities.
about
The
their
man,
feelings.
if
You
the
would care
man,
about
right,
their feelings.
hang on just a second. So you're doing exactly what I've just said. Again, placing responsibility onto the woman or the girlfriend. Why can the man not deal with his own insecurities? If he loves his girlfriend that much or his partner, why can he not take the time, if they're having an impact upon the relationship, to deal with those insecurities? Can both partners support each other through that? Absolutely. But not through accommodating someone's insecurities.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's of course that the man is gonna like try to get over those insecurities, but it's not overnight. You're acting as if that's gonna happen overnight.
No,
Okay.
you're just
How am I gonna
placing
get over
responsibility.
it?
You're,
Hold on,
please,
Tess.
hang on.
Tess, what I think we're failing to understand is this, right? Her changing her clothing doesn't actually remove the insecurity. The insecurity remains, okay? Because if one day she wears something he's comfortable with, and the next week she wears something he's comfortable with, and the next week she doesn't, that triggers the insecurity because it's still there. So she's not actually helping him. She's not actually doing anything to help because his insecurity is not being worked on. He needs to work on it to feel comfortable knowing that whatever she's wearing is not going to bother or affect him. So every time she does that, the insecurity doesn't change. It remains there the whole time. So he's not actually working on it himself. She's not actually helping it. She's basically accepting the insecurity. And that then is done through the controlling narrative rather than him saying, I need to actually work on this and change it because it's a me issue.
So let's flip the roles here. If my girlfriend was insecure and didn't want me to wear something, I would do that. Is that a problem for you?
Can I ask, in this situation, what is the man insecure about, that the woman's going to get harmed?
No, that the woman is trying to attract other men.
It's such a ridiculous, it doesn't even make sense.
No.
But she's chosen to be, if she's chosen to be in a monogamous relationship, if that's what's been agreed, then she's simply wearing clothing that she's comfortable in. That's it. Her own autonomy, she's respecting.
I'd also ask if you're advocating for women as strongly as you're coming here to advocate for men that want to control their partners.
Yeah, I mean, I believe a relationship is 100%, 100%. I think that they should adjust for their insecurities. I find it like, yeah, until you guys grow, I find it like insane how you guys
You know
fail
what,
to
listen,
No,
please.
because that's what love is. You grow together and you build together.
So how is his insecurity being removed? How is that disappearing?
Because you get more comfortable with your partner. You trust them more.
How? That's got nothing to do with clothing. Just
Yes,
because.
it does.
So okay. So at what point is he going to say, "Do you know what? I feel comfortable now with you wearing anything"?
The moment he's comfortable, I can't give you a time and date. That's like a mind thing.
What is-
And then the woman is like full of like free like of range, like not free range, but
Hold on. You haven't explained how it has gone from being insecure to secure when the only thing that changes is the clothing. How has he overcome his insecurity on something that he couldn't overcome right at the beginning? What's changed?
So you're telling me you can get over an insecurity overnight? That's what you're telling me right now?
No, you put
No.
words in my mouth. That's not
So then you disagreed with me. Thank you.
If someone
you
the
had nothing to say. Like you're not even understanding what I'm saying. Like you're talking in circles because
Okay,
I'm asking
okay.
you again.
Lex, it's getting ableist. Just take it back a second.
Which bit?
Going round in circles, you're not understanding things here. Just please watch the framing of that language there, okay?
If the girlfriend works somewhere and someone's attracted to her, is she supposed to quit her job as well for the insecurities?
No, because she works there. But if
Oh,
she's
okay.
going out, if she's going out in clothing that she knows that men find attractive, right?
So I can only give you anecdotal experience. I was a nurse and I wore scrubs. I was hit on more in that job than any other way. So was I supposed to not wear the uniform?
So you were a nurse with a whole bunch of sick patients and like probably half on drugs? No.
What?
No, it was a pre-assessment surgical ward, so they were all fine. They hadn't taken anything that would impair them in a way that they weren't used to. It was a surgical pre-assessment.
No. It's your job. Scrub's not very revealing.
So there we go. So clothes change. You're changing the context every time with the clothes, so it's not the
I can
clothes.
give you anecdotal. If you're going to give me anecdotal, I can give you
Well, no, it's a
anecdotal.
it's whole professions, and the difference is men sexualize women's clothing, whether it's a uniform, whether it's a school uniform that girls wear in the UK. Girls have to wear school uniform, and men sexualize them and catcall them from the age of barely double digits. That there is no, it's not the clothing. You need to be aware that that's a hugely privileged position for you to say that whatever we do, we are sexualized in some way.
And what percent of men do you think that is? That's just a question that I have right now.
Well, 1 in 3 women are harmed, so that should tell you about the disparity in how often it's happening. And if you look at something called the Great Pyramid, removing the G, it tells you how it starts at a smaller, something that people would consider commonplace, and then it escalates, and that's the point.
What is that? Okay. What do I respond to? I got like multiple points there. I'm like,
I don't think there's a way that either of us are able to explain it, whereby you see the controlling narrative of the dynamic. Like I think we've tried to explain it in a variety of ways.
and then you also say that men aren't the protectors or providers, while also saying all men until no men. And then also the last point, those all three contradict each other there. If you're telling me all men are like very evil, can't control themselves, and I want to help my girlfriend,
I never said that.
and
You're putting words in my mouth. I never
yeah.
said all men are evil.
So you didn't say what? Sorry, you like kind of.
I never said all men are evil, so you're putting words in my mouth.
Well, that's what the whole thing is, right? That's kind of.
So that just proved our point. Thank you. Wind spikes. Yeah, if that's what you think that this is all about, then no wonder. Yeah, apologies, chat, for that one. Kitty, yes, please. Apologies for what was said earlier.
No, it's all good. Sorry, I think that caught you off guard there. And I know there's.
I was trying to think about what I said, and I was like, oh no.
No, I can just see sometimes how this narrative ends up going, and I know there's pushback in the chat as well. But in regards to, sorry, I know there's just a lot of comments here. In regards to potentially, it was starting to verge on ableism, because when we're starting to get more and more frustrated, yes, we know that the different ways in that we were explaining things was not landing. But when we're starting to get frustrated with, no, you're just clearly not understanding here. This is getting circular. You're not, often then what happens in moments of frustration like that. Look, if anyone doesn't know what ableism is, I'm not going to sit and explain it all up here at the moment. I've got lots of resources on my page, and there's lots of guests waiting, okay? Simple as that. But when
I'm
we start...
guilty of that one too as well, so thank you, Kitty.
No,
I would have said that one.
It's all good. But when we're starting to get frustrated, we don't know someone's ability to process information or education and at what pace at. So if anyone wants to roll their eyes in that, that's absolutely fine. You're more than welcome to leave. Okay, or I'm happy to mute you and you can move on. Okay, it's as simple as that. But when people are getting frustrated, it's valid. We understand this is triggering. But when we're starting to comment and get frustrated in these spaces and starting to comment on, well, you're just clearly not getting it. You're not understanding this. You're not doing this. And I'm not saying that's what Lex was doing. I'm saying this is often what we see in the chat as well. It then starts to escalate further. And then people then start commenting on how the person's talking, how they're processing that information. And then there's not the patience. And again, we don't know what that anyone up here, unless they disclose it, we don't know how someone is processing and receiving that information. What we do know is education takes time at different paces. We do know people double down. Okay, we understand that because people get defensive. Okay, but in this space, we don't uphold one, and again, this is not about Lex, this is just a general point about ableism. We don't try to dismantle one oppressive system by upholding another. It's a learning opportunity. We all hold each other accountable for this. Okay, as simple as that. There is no exceptions in this space. Okay? And if those of you in the chat that want to push back because I'm holding someone accountable, again, I'll reiterate, because I get pushback for this, for being viewed as, I'm really mean, I'm really horrible to the man in this space or to others. It's not, this man is also my best friend. I do this offline as well. He will also speak to me about ableism and ask questions and more. We all learn together. Okay, but we have to be patient when it comes to everyone's capacity for education and learning, even if it's triggering and frustrating, which it is for many of the women and femme presenting people in these spaces. Okay, it's as simple as that. If you can't take ableism as serious as racism or homophobia or transphobia, then leave the live. Okay, this is how we do this here. There's no exceptions. And if you don't like that because you want to sit and pedestal someone else above others in this space, this is not the space for you. Simple as that. Okay? And if anyone thinks, anyone wants to be respectful and ask questions about this in my DMs, go for it. Anyone wants to be rude to me in my DMs or be harmful, you will be reported. And I'm saying that because typically that's often what happens in these spaces when we try to educate, regardless whether it's a guest or each other. Anyway, I'm done. My main thing I will hold myself accountable for is I interrupt. Okay, and apologies for interruptions. There were too many interruptions there for me. I am neurodivergent, I'm ADHD. That's context. It's not an excuse. It is something I do try to work upon. So there's people in the space that use screen readers and more to access this space. And I'm very aware, because it is something I often say and try to address with other people, we try not to interrupt. And I was interrupting on a few occasions there because I acknowledge I was getting triggered. So I like to correct misinformation, something we're all working on. We're all accountable, okay? Anyway, right, big love, because I am completely talked out now. Oops, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Molly, do you want to add anything as well?
No, just thank you both as always learning and always happy to learn and be held accountable. So thank you both.
Appreciate you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was getting frustrated because in my head I was thinking, I don't know how many different ways we can try and land the point. So if we don't have moderators holding everyone, including myself, accountable, that's where we can uphold oppressive systems without realizing it. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that acknowledgement. Let's go to Jack, age and pronouns, please. Nope, not coming up. Let's go. Oh no, Jack, did you actually want to come up? Let's try again. No, right, okay. Kuda, age and pronouns, please.
I'm 18. My pronouns are he, him.
Thank you. What's the prompt you disagree with?
Don't mention misandry until there's no misogyny.
Okay, what should I say about it?
Ignoring misandry in the Western world is both historically inaccurate and ignores the current material conditions we live in right now.
Sure. So, can you give me an example of how women are oppressing men?
No, I mean misandry. Like,
Yeah, I'm saying, can you give me an
um,
example of how women are historically or currently oppressing men?
no, women, they don't oppress men.
So, how are they
Um,
upholding misandry?
hmm?
How are they
No,
upholding?
misandry is just it's just like the oppression of men. Like in the Western,
How are women doing that?
no, they don't.
Right. So, if they're not doing it, right, then you're saying men are doing it,
Yes.
right?
No, but the thing is, in the West, in the Western world,
I
the
don't care what
patriarchy.
world. I don't care what
No,
world.
the patriarchy, as we live in right now.
So essentially, you're saying men are oppressing men.
No, please let me finish, please.
I'm trying to just be direct on
No,
the point.
because I'm not finished.
But I'm trying to like
Brother, let me finish, please. No, the patriarchy in the Western world.
I'm trying to check in along the way so I understand the points that you're making. Like that's why I asked you, can you tell me how women are oppressing men? You said they're not. Then you said men are oppressing men. So I just wanted to double check that that's what you're saying. You're saying that men are oppressing men. I'm happy to let you continue, but I just wanted to double check as we go along. So, okay, carry on, please.
I'm saying, in the Western world as we live in, the patriarchy is intertwined with white supremacy. The way it works, racialized men are like that. They are victims of misandry. For example, if you look at stop and search, black men are 8 times more likely to be stopped and searched in comparison.
That's racism.
Hmm?
That's not.
No. If it were racism, no, brother, let me finish. If it were racism, black men and black women would be getting stopped and searched at similar rates. However, they are not because of the stereotypes associated with black men that black women do not have. For example, black men have the Mandingo stereotype. You have ideas of
racism. That's still racism.
No. If it were racism, would it not be happening at the same rate if it were racism?
No, because like you said, with regards to being intertwined, men disproportionately uphold violence in comparison to women. So obviously, men are going to get.
But black men do not occupy the government. They are making the legislation that leads to them being discriminated.
So hence that's the racism, right? So that's the racism, but also you're trying to make out that it has to be equal between black men and black women.
I'm not saying it's equal.
But that's what you tried to bring in. You said otherwise it would be happening equally.
Yeah, if it were happening equally, it would be racism. But the additional element of them being men is what creates the disparity.
It doesn't have to be equal for it to be racism. It is still racism because.
Then why is it not on the basis of them being men? Explain.
Because men disproportionately cause harm and violence in comparison to women. So men already on that.
No, but in comparison, okay.
In comparison, men do disproportionately harm, right?
So black men should be victimized 8 times more likely by police. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's what
you're saying. That's what you're saying because they. That's what you're saying.
I'm going to bring someone up because you asked me to not interrupt, and I explained why on that point.
Man, nigga, shut the fuck up. You're a retard. You're a liberal. You're a white liberal. Nigga, shut the fuck up. Fuck you. Suck my dick. Suck my dick on JD. Suck my dick.
All I was going to do was bring up another moderator / guest to come and have the conversation, but Messiah, age and pronouns, please.
Yo.
Age and pronouns, please.
I've been in before like a month ago. My name's Isaiah, 25, he, him.
Welcome back. Which prompt you
Yeah, you just came on my my feed again. I just have a question for you.
Sure, which prompt you disagree with?
Well, there's one thing I wanted to ask about one of the prompts, 'cause I don't really understand it, but there's also just like another question that's like kind of not on here.
Okay.
I just want to know your thoughts on it. So am I like a bad person for not wanting to be with a single mum?
So I think it's a bit of a vague thing to say bad person. It's more just unpacking the reasons why.
I don't know. I just like I don't want to be responsible for something without having like authority.
Ooh, okay. Then yeah, I would say that is rooted in quite harmful narrative. But which prompt do you disagree with? Because that's a whole different rabbit hole.
I just don't understand what all men until no men means.
Okay, so all men hold on to misogyny and have responsibility to unpack it. Women's biggest form of oppression is gender-based violence, and so women being wary and cautious of all men is completely understandable.
Okay.
Men also say all men until no men, they just say it differently. So men that disagree with this contradict themselves, because I can give examples of how men also believe the same thing.
Okay, cool.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks coming up. Hello, Darian. Sorry, didn't see the request there. Apologies.
Hello.
Hello.
29 here. Don't know if the previous guest was still in right now, but I want to make it abundantly clear. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but I find it hilarious when black men come in here talking about how black men have it hard, or black men don't have enough power, or black men when the reality is that take everything that we just established out of the situation. Black men in comparison to black women benefit from patriarchy and therefore oppress black women. We don't get out of it simply because we are black men. Understanding that black men are 8 times more likely to be pulled over is not because we are black men, but because we are black who happen to be men. Of the people that are inside the black race, I'm not talking to people, the multiple groups that are inside the black race, the people that are having it the worst are black women. Now, I don't know where this previous guest got this information that black men being stopped eight times more than other people means that black men experience misandry. But for anyone listening in right now who are black men or who are related to black men who are thinking that black man was speaking some sense, he wasn't. Categorically was not speaking any sense. And actually, if he hung around a little bit longer, he would have got into a conversation with another black man that would have been able to have a conversation with him that lets him know just how uneducated his perspective was. There's a real serious lack of understanding how intersectionality works. And as a result, there are people out here who will willfully believe that black men, because we are black, we don't have the societal power to oppress women. And actually, what they fail to understand is that, okay, sure, black men aren't in positions of power. That I get that. However, we do benefit from the positions of power that the white men are doing, because they are passing laws and making society present in a way that benefits black men, whether they want to admit it or not. So, for anyone listening, do not allow anyone, especially black men, to gaslight you and trick you into thinking that we are also not part of the problem because we're a specific type of people that get oppressed because we operate as black people and men at the same time. Someone who says it to you is not educated enough on the topic of intersectionality, because if they had, and he tried to frame it in a way that he was educated in it by mentioning the fact that we're black and men at the same time. But the reality is, anyone who has a fundamental understanding of the way intersectionality works will understand that of the people that are in the black race, men are not the ones that are the most harmed. Men are not the ones that are harmed by patriarchy. And to some extent, he was not wrong in saying that patriarchy is racialized. We know that. We know that. We know that patriarchy is interwoven with white supremacy. But we don't get absolved of our responsibility to unpack misogyny and dismantle patriarchy simply because we are black. In fact, it is in our effort, if nothing else, to protect our black women and girls that we should be actively doing that. I'm absolutely.
Darian, just so you know, he just messaged in the chat saying that he wants to talk to you. So it's up to you if you want that to happen or not. But I just wonder how.
I'm going to be really honest with you and tell you that he doesn't deserve it. We're not like as much as I think that conversation would be beneficial. You don't get to come in here, do what he did in a chat in order to have a conversation. Whoa! Be careful, Bryn. Be careful, Bryn. That's some microaggressions. I understand the need to want to talk about his behavior, but be careful there. Be careful there. But yes, I appreciate that he wants to talk to me. However, you don't get to come in a space and behave that way. Not letting you actually speak, and then you don't get to come in after your mask slips and someone is trying to actually have a conversation with you about the reasons why you're wrong. You then don't get to swear at people and do that, especially not the person who's hosting a live. So no, you're not going to get to come in here and think that I'm going to entertain a conversation with you when ultimately you've not proven yourself to be someone worth having a conversation with. Maybe later on in the week, when you're able to facilitate a version of this conversation that it doesn't result in swearing at people and also being homophobic, because I'm pretty sure you were, for some reason, you thought it was appropriate to say "suck my dick" as if to say that holds any merit in the conversation. But I need everyone to understand that black men are not exempt from our responsibility to unpack patriarchy. We're not. We can't be, because black women are still being harmed. And while black women are still being harmed, disproportionately, might I add, by black men, then we don't get to sit here and reject absolve us of our responsibility. We don't get to do that. Sorry, I know that I'm dropping in a minute, but I really cannot stress it enough. That was very problematic. Can you imagine if every black man on a planet right now went, yeah, I'm not unpacking misogyny because I'm black and I get what? No, we don't do that. We don't do that. And I just want to make it abundantly clear that even in my frustration with that, I really am trying very hard not to do the ad hominem stuff, not to do the propping up another oppressive system, because it could have been quite easy for me to do that. It really could have been, because that level of the way that went down infuriated me. Not only because that's my friend, but also because someone up here who is a part of my of my group, as it were, came up here and willfully spoke ignorance on a platform full of over 300 people. And if nothing else, what does that say about what you think about the work that the other black men that are doing? Myself, public defender. What does that say about the work that we're doing when we've got men like you trying to say, no, we're not doing it because patriarchy is racialized, and that's the problem with racism. That does not stop us from doing the work we have to do, if not for nothing else, but to protect our women. But it shouldn't just be about our women; it should be about women, period. Because let's get something clear. In a crime, when a crime has been committed, and this is a trigger warning for anyone in here, when a crime has been committed whereby a black man does something to a white woman, the optics of that are maddening. I'm not saying maddening as in like quote unquote crazy, but maddening as in infuriating, because there's no matter what way you look at it, it's going to be hard. But the reality is that even if a black man has committed that, white women tears, yes, potentially do get black men in trouble unnecessarily. But statistically speaking, when a crime is committed against a woman in that regard, because of how difficult it is to prove, it rarely ever makes it to court in the first place. Like, yes, white women tears are a problem. Yes, they are dangerous. But the system is set up in a way that doesn't even let SA get to a court before we can even work to look at the white woman tears and see if she's telling the truth. It doesn't even get there. So please, let's not say this harmful stuff. Let's not do that. Let's continue to do the work. And if you're not educated on the topic, that's fine. But then go and do that. Don't come in here and pretend that you are and say some harmful shit, because that's one way to get me very angry. Anyway, I will drop. If I've said anything that has popped up another oppressive system, I worked very hard to make sure that I wasn't ableist just then, but I can't be sure. Please do let me know, Kitty, if you're still here, because I might. But I made sure I like deliberately described maddening the way that I was intended it, not maddening as in like mentally maddening, but maddening as in infuriating. So anyway, I'm gonna drop. Sorry, not saying sorry, Lex. But I'm gonna drop. Love you all. Thank you for listening to me. And if anyone has a problem with what I said, I'm going to sit there and say to the white people, if you feel like you want to talk to me about it, I'm going to say, like, sit this one out. It's not for you. It's not a conversation about you. It's not for you at this time. But if there are black people in the comments that would like to talk to me about anything I just said, feel free to do so, because truthfully, I'm going to have this conversation regardless, but we're not getting away with that. We're not getting away with that at all. Anyway, I love you. Protect each other. I'm a drop. Bye.
Yeah, much love. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Darian. Adam, it's not. Misogyny is. Let's focus on that. Kuda requesting? No. If you are not a man requesting, please withdraw your request. Francisco? No. Jack again? No. Professional, age and pronouns, please.
Okay, thank you. I'm freshly 18. I turned 18 in about March 15th. And wait, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Because I can't hear you. Okay. No, I was saying that I turned 18 in March 15th.
Yeah.
So as I'm saying, I'm still a young adult, so I'm here to learn from your perspective. So please be gracious with me.
Can I get your pronouns if that's all right as well?
Oh, I'm a he, him.
Thank you. Sure. Which prompt do you disagree with?
Some of these I don't necessarily disagree with. I just feel like you could have worded it a better way, and I would like to understand what you mean by that. So for the first one, okay, let's go with the first example. The friend zone doesn't exist. What do you exactly mean by that? Do you mean like, men shouldn't consider this as a temporary space where they could then go into beginning a relationship? If someone makes clear boundaries, then they just shouldn't keep on pushing. If that's what you're trying to say, then I completely understand. But
So there's a few things. First thing is obviously the way that you've addressed that is tone policing, right? Telling me to change the way it's worded when a lot of these are prescriptive examples of things that men uphold misogyny through. These are conversations where shortening it to the way that I explain it is almost impossible because there's so much to say on some of them. So the reason why I don't think the friend zone exists is because any dynamic where you think it does exist, I would say there's an emotion or a behavior that exists that needs to be dealt with. And when that's not dealt with, men, as well as women, but we're focusing on men's behavior here, men will use the word friend zone as a way to cover it up. Oh, I'm in the friend zone. No, you got rejected. Oh, I'm in the friend zone. No, you just have feelings for her that you haven't dealt with. Like, there's something going on there that needs to be dealt with, and calling it the friend zone, which is just this made up thing, it doesn't exist. It's just you being avoidant of what you need to do.
okay. When you explain like that, I completely agree. Okay, thank you for explaining that to me.
That's okay.
Now, I'm gonna go to. I'm not gonna talk about body count because, well, I personally don't have any experience in that. So we're gonna go on to the next ones. Men are not the protectors or providers.
Yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by that to me? And
Yes.
I'll give you what I think.
Yeah, sure. So can you give me an example of any ways that men protect on a daily basis that we can then warrant calling them protectors?
Okay. Now that you're saying that, I agree with you. I'm saying that my personal pick, I thought you were saying like men. Okay, let me give you my explanation. If you're saying that men, here's what I was originally going to say. If you're saying that men currently do not deserve that label because they haven't done anything to be labeled as such, then I completely agree. But a man, in my personal opinion, a man should be a protector or provider, considering I just feel like that's something a man is supposed to do. And if you're not doing that as a man, I just view you as a disgrace.
Okay, so I disagree. I think that when you hold on to that belief of men, that's upholding patriarchy. And upholding patriarchy is upholding misogyny. So if we think about the ways that men have in history been called providers, they were called providers on the basis through oppressing women, girls, and femme-presenting people. So to give them the label and say that's what men should do is upholding the ways that women were oppressed in the first place from men providing, because it was always based on finances. The same with protection. The only way a man can be a protector is if men's violence continues, because otherwise what are men protecting people from? So for me, no, men should not be striving towards being those things, because like I say, to qualify or to be considered a protector, you need harm to be caused for you to protect against. And that harm is from men.
Okay.
I do apologize. There's a random noise in my background of some sort of a buzzer, and I don't know where it's coming from. So
It's all right. You might hear my dog.
Come out of nowhere.
You might hear my dog. You might hear my
That's
my
fine.
little siblings around. So I completely understand it. Okay, well that makes sense. Okay.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, so essentially that's what I think about the whole protector situation. Again, the providers, the providers is almost then done on the basis again that you would be providing for someone else, because otherwise if you were just providing for yourself, anyone can do that by being independent, right? It wouldn't necessarily qualify you as being a provider. So then fulfilling that role is on the basis you need to do that on the basis of someone else. And so I'm saying you shouldn't really be living your life as a way of thinking, I need to be this, because it then is dependent on someone else being involved in your dynamic. That's kind of like living your purpose, your life as a purpose with someone else that might not even exist for you in the future. So I don't think that should be the roles of men, because I think any kind of gender role is just reinforcing patriarchy and misogyny.
Okay. Well, let me formulate my thoughts real quick.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay. So what I was trying to say was that in not more so provider, but as I feel like when I say protector, I think as a person more so. Oh wait, never mind. I'm gonna be agreeing with you if I say it like that. Never mind. We can go down to the next one. Yeah, since systemic, misandry doesn't really exist. Anyways, all man until none man. Wait. All man until no man. I can understand that, but misandry, I feel like discrimination based on anything should be called out for. I don't think now if it's not more so a main focus, if you see it happen, I feel like you should call it out for what it is, discrimination. But when it comes to all men until no man thing, I can understand that completely, because if it's known that large amounts of violence is going to happen to someone due to a certain factor that they cannot control, you should be cautious of the people that are causing that harm. It doesn't mean you have to discriminate against them per se, but I do agree that you should be cautious of everybody that follows that description until otherwise.
Okay, so you don't disagree? And then the last prompt you disagree with?
The last part that I disagree with is, I need you to explain that for me, like your opinion.
So I can't think of an example where a man feels like telling his partner to change her clothing is ever appropriate. Can you give me an example of that? If not, then I think it's upholding great culture.
Then, they're going to a specific event. Say the lady or the woman that's by his side, she doesn't understand. She wasn't more so invited to the event. He just brought her as a +1. Okay. Now he tells them, he gives them a vague guideline on what they're supposed to wear, and she doesn't follow that. She doesn't follow that per se. And he tells her, you need to redress to fit the guidelines of the event that we're going to. That's one situation where I could think that men should tell.
But as Kitty said, that's dress code. So that's not technically him telling her what she needs to wear. That is the establishment involved setting the standards for everyone there, that this is what, people need to wear to attend this event. That's not then a man telling his partner what to wear. That's just actually passing on information from the event. So that's not really him. Like he's just basically being a messenger. Like, hey, just to let you know, this event that I'm bringing you to, that's what you need to wear. Rather than I'm telling you to wear something, the event is actually telling her.
Okay, because a lot of this I'm not disagreeing with, because I was more so coming up here to hear your perspective. That's why you'll hear me a lot.
I'll basically say the answer that maybe men would lead me to say, right? So essentially, I think a lot of the times men will ask their partners to change because they think they're wearing something too revealing. If you dig deeper as to why you think that's an issue, they will say things like, well, because other men will look at you, other men might approach you, or other men might schmexualize you. And what I'm saying is that all that man is doing is saying, I feel uncomfortable with men's behavior, and because of that, I want you to change. Because I can't control the men's behaviors, I can't control the men's thoughts, but maybe I can control what you wear, because we can have a conversation about it and I can maybe convince you to change that to facilitate my insecurity, because that's all it is. It's an insecurity about how other men behave. So what's happening is the victim in that situation is being asked to change, as opposed to the perpetrator who is upholding the harm. That, for me, is a problem. And I'm saying that the reason it upholds great culture is this. Let's say a man says to his partner, I don't want you to wear revealing clothes because I think it will reduce, trigger warning to the chat, sorry. I think it will reduce the likelihood of you being SA'd. If that's what his belief is, then he's technically saying, make sure it doesn't happen to you, but it happens to someone else. Make sure you're not the target, but someone else is. Because it's still not addressing men's behavior. It's trying to get the victim to change. And if you care about women and femme-presenting people, then you wouldn't be placing that onus on those individuals to change. You would be trying to change the behaviors of men. And so all that's doing is just upholding great culture, because nothing is changing from the men if they decide not to do it to that person, but they do it to someone else. And it's just that man thinking selfishly in that sense of, well, because I care and potentially love my partner, it doesn't matter that there's other men out there who care and love about their partner, as long as if it's not my partner, it happens to. So it's just upholding the same behaviors from men, which is great culture.
Okay, I see your perspective, but I feel like to the point of where all men until no men, I feel like to a certain extent, since all men, right, there's no one, you can't control what other people do. There's obviously going to be violence because this isn't a perfect world. So I do get the point of saying, oh, you should focus on more sort of behavior and not the victim. You shouldn't blame the victim. And I understand that completely. But it's more so, in my perspective, we should try to make countermeasures in order to make sure that doesn't happen. And since people aren't more so focused on certain situations, there has to be other things that we have to do in order to prevent that. Maybe not necessarily clothing, maybe not clothing-wise necessarily, but pepper spray, guns, weapons.
In the UK, we don't have those things, I don't believe.
Okay.
But secondly, that's not addressing the issue. That's not like a way to like that's not a way to deal with it. And that's the problem, right? Is like you need men's behavior to change, not so much for women already do so much to be as safe as possible. Now you're just giving them more things to do or take with them or be prepared for. That's almost like saying, hey, because this is the world we live in, you need to do that. And that's what I'm saying. That's the same thing. That's still victim blaming. That's saying that let's put the emphasis on victims doing as much as they can and more to protect themselves. And I think that when you bring all men and no men into it, I think you're using a different prompt that's not quite supporting it anyway, because all men and no men is saying all men hold on to misogyny and have to unpack it. And women's biggest form of oppression is gender-based violence. So women being wearing cautious of all men is completely understandable. So, it's the equivalent to me sort of saying, did you say you're 18, right? So do you think there are other 18 or 19-year-olds that you know that are men that would have an issue with their partner going clubbing without them?
I believe so, yeah.
What do you think, give me 2 reasons, right? But what do you think 2 reasons might be as to why they'd have an issue?
Well, for the most part, is because I view as clubbing as a way to meet other people, and I think it's more so. I think it's more so a place where you go to meet someone for
I hear that.
I can't speak. I can't speak. Intimacy.
Just give me 2
Intimacy.
reasons.
Yeah. Majority of the people that you meet at the club, they can become friends, but majority of the reason why you go to the club, in my personal opinion, is for intimacy of some sort.
But just give me 2 reasons why other men might have an issue with their partner going clubbing. That's all I want to hear. 2
Clubbing. Clubbing. Without them or with them?
without them. Why would they have an issue?
Without them. A lot of it falls back to what you said earlier with some of the other topics.
Men
Like
behavior?
there was this one guy, I forgot his name completely, but he said that what's it called, insecurity. I think that might be that's a
I agree.
large reason.
I
Yes.
agree. I think that's
And
one.
then another reason was that he said, I'm trying to remember what he said.
So okay, I
Because of
personally,
sexual violence, yeah.
I personally think that it's 2 things: maybe the insecurity that your partner might cheat, or the fact that you think your partner might be harmed by someone there. So like the fear for their safety, maybe. That's fair.
That's the reason. Okay, can I say something about OMGD? I can't see his full name, but I'm pretty sure it's Darren. Darren, the reason I came up here was to be informed. That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking questions.
Don't worry about people in the chat. You're talking to me. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if you so do you agree then that it would be on the basis that their partner might cheat or that they might get harmed by someone?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you think those boyfriends will feel a little bit more comfortable if their partner said they were going to an all-women's club?
All women's club?
Yeah, there's going to be no men around. Do you think that their partners would feel a little bit more comfortable with that?
I mean, yeah, but it depends on the place, though.
Well, it's all women's club. So if they're worried about the insecurity of them cheating and they're worried about being harmed by a man, going to an all women's club?
Yeah. If they know for certain that their partner is heterosexual and straight, then yeah, they wouldn't feel anything about it.
So the point is, when men are around, they feel more uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if we think about why they're uncomfortable, all right, they know that not every man at the club is going to harm their partner.
Yes.
But they also know how men behave, and they know that there could be a number of men there that could approach her, could say something inappropriate or do something harmful to her, which is causing that worry, right? If their partner came up to them and said, don't worry, it's not all men, he's not going to feel more comfortable. He's still going to worry. And that is the exact point of All Men Unto No Men. Even men worry about the men that might be around their partner because they know how men behave. They're not saying every man is dangerous, but they know enough of them are to cause that fear. It's the exact same thing being said by women. Women aren't saying every man they walk past is dangerous, but in certain situations, they might feel more fearful or uncomfortable than others because they're not going to trust every random man they bump into. Does that clear things up a little bit more? I don't know.
Yes, thank you. It does, actually.
Okay.
All right, well, thanks for the wonderful conversation. I will be going
Thank you
to...
for being respectful. Alrighty. Hope to speak to you again soon. Take care, buddy.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Got time for one more. Canage, age and pronouns, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, age and pronouns, please.
Hi, I'm 25. He, him.
Thank you.
First of all, thanks for having me on. Second of all, I love women. 90% of my family are women. Third of all, I do have some disagreements with women, but it's all respectful. Like, if you want to chat to me, that's fine. So just gonna go for it. When you say about the friend zone doesn't exist, I agree with you on that in the sense of I think that men and women can be friends because women do add value. Like, it's good to have like a woman's take on it. Like, sometimes I'll speak to my sister, sometimes I'll speak to like female family friends. Like, they do have like good insight on different things as well. And it's good to like meet other women through women as well. So I agree, like the men and women can be friends in that sense because they add value to each other. When you talk about body count doesn't matter, and I'd be very, very interested to hear about mothers' opinions as well because they have like sons and daughters and they can add input. Like, for me, I think that everyone's entitled to have their own standards. So if a woman doesn't want a man who slept around, then that's okay. I think if a man doesn't want a woman who slept around, that should be okay. In the sense of, if I had a daughter, yeah, well, I don't have kids, right? Just hypothetical, right? If I had a daughter, yeah, I wouldn't want her to turn out like Bonnie Blue and sleep around with 1,000 men. I would want her to go and get with a man who treats her right, loves her, respects her. Like, I would never want my daughter to go on OF and go run around with 1,000 men. Like, I personally do think body count does matter. Like, especially like sometimes people say,
Are you shaming Schmex workers? Just out of curiosity? Because we don't do that here. So is that what you're doing? Are you shaming Schmex workers? You can unmute.
can you hear me?
I can now, yeah. Are you shaming Schmex workers?
I'm not shaming them at all. I'm just saying it's a preference. That's all. Like, Bonnie does what Bonnie does, and I don't have anything against that. You know what I mean? That's fair.
Please stop. Right. So if your daughter is over the age of 18,
Yeah,
you recognize that's none of your business what she does, right?
I agree. Like, I can't stop her. She has agency. I'm just saying it as a preference. I wouldn't want that for my daughter. Do you get what I'm saying?
But
And if she was to go down, the road, obviously that's her own
if
choice.
she was
But
happy and she was healthy, why would there be an issue for you?
I wouldn't like it because I feel like men would take advantage of her and mistreat her. Like, I wouldn't like my daughter to end up that way. But that's just my
Again,
preference.
when you say end up that way, I don't know what that means because you're insinuating that she's done something wrong. Ultimately, if she has agency, autonomy, consent, authority, like that's up to her. If she's being safe and consensual,
Would
and
you want your daughter to turn out like Bonnie Blue or Lily Fitz? Because I wouldn't want my son to do that, and I wouldn't want.
you're giving an example of one individual in the whole world, like it's a bit of a stretch, right? Like you know, we're talking
I
about.
wouldn't like it if
talking
my
about
son or my daughter went down the road. I think that if a woman wants, let's say for example, if it could be like religious, like if a woman wants a man who hasn't slept around, like if she wants a one woman man to be loyal to her, I think that's perfectly fine. And I think if a man has his own preferences and doesn't want a woman like Bonnie or Lily Phillips, such like, I think everyone should have their own standards. I don't
Can you
think
tell
that
me what?
there's anything wrong with that.
So when you mentioned Lily, can you tell me something that she's done that's harmful, just so I'm aware?
I'm not saying it's harmful. I'm just saying like I wouldn't want that for my family. Do you get what I mean? And I've known other mothers who are the exact same with
That's a you
their
issue.
kids as well.
But that's a you issue, right? That's something for you to unpack.
No, I understand. I'm just saying it's a preference. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman
But
having
your
a
preference
preference
is
for a man's body
your
count, and the same thing with a woman having a
You're
preference.
you're moving from body count to being a Schmex worker. So which one is it that you're talking about having a preference for? Like
It could be either of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in
let's
like,
start with body count, right? If a man has an issue with a woman's body count, it's rooted in misogyny or insecurities. Preferences, standards, and values, all those words can go deeper to understand what's behind the reasoning for them in the first place. So those are things that need to be unpacked. The body count is not an issue. It's your interpretation of what that body count means to you personally and your relationship with body count as a concept. The body count is not an issue, but your view of it is. So that's why I'm saying it's not body count that's a problem. It's your view of it.
I think we're gonna agree to disagree on that because I think everyone has their own standards and
haven't explained it.
preferences.
You still
Well,
haven't explained
alright,
it.
say for example, if it's like a religious thing, then like say if it's like a Christian woman might want another man who it might be like a virgin marriage, as an example.
Yeah,
Like
and
they might.
that's rooted in misogyny. Purity culture is a misogynistic concept in itself. So there's a lot of misogyny in religion. That doesn't remove it. You can say religion, but the roots of that is misogynistic. Still proves my point.
I disagree with that, but each
Can't
their own.
disagree with factual history. Like that's because you have misogyny to unpack, and you just want to blanket say.
I'm not misogynistic. I just think, like, for example, there are women out there who don't want a man.
You said a lot that's quite misogynistic already. Let's not say that you're not.
I'm not misogynistic. Everyone has their own preferences. Like, there's women out there who don't want to be with a promiscuous man.
You're repeating the same words, which is I have a preference. I have a preference. You haven't unpacked the reason for your preference, and the one reason you gave was religion as an example, and that example is misogynistic.
I'm not right. All right, fine. We'll agree to disagree on that. But then when you talk about men,
I'm not going to disagree on something that's factual. Like I'm not moving from that. Right? Purity culture has always been misogynistic because women were policed for the value of their bodies based on their sexual experiences. That's the only way they were told to have a better chance of finding a husband was to be as close to a virgin as possible. Fathers protecting their daughter's virtue and then transferring them over as property to that man by saying, I've raised her, now it's your turn. That whole thing is misogynistic. So you having a preference for someone with a low body count or trying to use religion as a way to uphold that belief is upholding misogyny. Like, you choosing to agree to disagree is actually you choosing to say, I would rather hold on to my misogyny, but not be called misogynistic. It's just, you know, you can't have your cake and eat it.
Look, that's all right. You have your opinions, that's all. But going on to your next point, this is really important. When you talk,
No, you're just dismissing everything that's being said. Like, this is an educational conversation, and you just always coming back with, you have your opinions, I have a preference. I'm giving you the education and information, you're just refusing to accept it. We're not doing that here. You're literally just basically going to